Hey guys, thanks for checking out the Bucked Up Podcast. If you don't mind hitting the like, subscribe button, we have new episodes coming out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you guys so much for checking it out. This episode is sponsored by Exotic Roots Hydro, which I have to give a huge shout out to. They are a huge supporter of the podcast, and I'm really happy to be working with them. If you're ever in Rochester, New York, and you need to learn about any of your hydroponic needs, go to their shop. You can follow them at Exotic Roots Hydro on Instagram. Shout out their whole team. They have an amazing venue space. They're going to be putting on tons of events. Just make sure to follow Exotic Roots Hydro on Instagram. And if you're ever in Rochester, definitely stop by. Let's get back into it.
It was at this moment that he knew.
He bucked up.
Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you have fucked up.
I took ayahuasca during like one of the most difficult times in my life, and the way it was this hippie girl got it for me. It was 2 chocolate like cookies. First, you had to eat the first one that had like the MAOI inhibitor in it, and then you ate the ayahuasca.
Yeah.
And I did the first part, and I ate the second half, and then my ex like wrote me the most like devastating text message as I started going into like a deep ayahuasca trip.
Oh, so she wasn't with you?
No, we were already separated for a couple of years.
Would you turn my headphones down a little
Yeah,
bit?
it's a little loud.
Yeah. No. So you were separated.
Yeah.
You take the. Are you by yourself when you take the ayahuasca?
I was by myself because what happened was I had a doorman who who got it for me originally, and I did it the first time, and I was like, this is pretty cool. It was really fun. It was interesting.
How long is it?
I think it was like 4 or 5 hours. Yeah, but like intense, like 3 hours of like you've taken mushrooms before.
Yeah.
So like imagine.
And I've done DMT.
But this is like a combination. DMT's short, you know?
Yeah,
like
wicked. That's what I mean.
Yeah, this is like a prolonged DMT with an intense mushroom trip behind it. Yeah, it's really, really fucking intense, dude.
And your ex sends you this.
She sends me this message.
It always happens that way, right? Like,
well, I should have known better than to just start tripping on ayahuasca by myself in the middle of a day.
I 100% agree.
You know,
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
my
yeah.
punishment for
You mind
it.
turning it down just a little bit more?
You'll turn my microphone.
Turn my headphones down.
Yo,
The least. Please, my ears are
Sir, my ears, sir.
my ears are hurting. I need to spit my bars.
Yeah.
So she sends you the text.
She sends me the text message, and then like everything starts like enveloping into like layers of hell. But I called a friend of mine who was this awesome woman who we were like, at the time we were like friends, but you know, we had sex a couple times, but she
Yeah.
was just like really cool. Like, you know, when you get the right person in your life at the right time.
Yeah, 100%.
And she came and she took care of me. But I was like a baby. I was like fetal position on the fucking bed. Like,
Yeah, no, I don't even want to do mushrooms by myself. Like I did it in college a couple times by myself, and that was it. Like I need someone else to like bounce it off of.
it's what you're looking for out of the trip. You know,
Yeah.
like I just
Are you good with your mind?
Yeah. I've tested the expanses of my brain's capability. I consider myself a hallucinogenic cosmonaut for sure.
You think being a father helped be like, all right, I need to fucking be good with my mind?
What do you mean?
Or were you good before the kid, like having a kid?
I think I've gotten better since I became a father. You know, before you have a kid, you can go out and act like a complete raging lunatic, you know, and there's nobody that you have to be held accountable for other than yourself, which is fun and easy. But when you have a child, you're like, I'm the father to somebody. I have to maintain some sort of normal brain activity.
Do you think it affected your work, like comedy and everything?
Well, I only started doing stand-up about 4.5 years ago, and this was around the same time that I was using a lot of hallucinogens, magic mushrooms. So when I first started comedy, I thought, I'm really hilarious when I'm tripping. So I bought a large amount of shrooms, and for like a month and a half, I just tripped nonstop and did open mics and stuff.
Oh, really? Did you go too far with the hallucinogens?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it doesn't make you any funnier.
Not at all.
It makes things seem funnier. at the time.
Yeah.
But it was
And then you realize like how people are viewing you while you're tripping in public.
well, I mean, I'm pretty much I can hold myself together to where I'm not acting like a buffoon. If anything, you just see me giggling
Yeah, no.
like a schoolgirl.
Doing comedy, I do not like tripping because time feels so slow. Like the silence,
Right.
it just feels really long. Because you know
Right.
how your brain just kind of starts
Right.
like building out. You know.
Well, because the illusion of time is taken away, and then the infinite space that exists.
So you've only been doing comedy 4.5 years.
Yeah, almost 5. Yeah.
How old were you when you started?
How old was I? I was 36, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
How old were you when you had your kid?
I was 32.
Okay. Why'd you start
Start what?
comedy?
I always wanted to do stand-up
Why'd
comedy.
you start not pulling out?
Because I was intoxicated. No, stand-up was like my dream since I was a little kid. But you're a comic. It takes a lot of fucking balls to do that. You have to have the ability to put your ego aside. So what happened for me is when my life came to a crashing stop, and I split with my ex and my business and this, and I told you the stuff that went down, like
Yeah.
a lot of fucked up shit.
A lot of fucked up shit.
So when you're like all the way completely destroyed ego-wise, I figured there's nothing left for me to lose.
And what was your path before that?
Acting, sketch comedy, improv.
But you were really doing that. Like,
I was really doing that, yeah. But because I wanted to do stand-up, so I danced around it to get as close to it as possible.
Yeah. What made you finally get up?
I told you it was the destruction of my,
There
my
wasn't like
ego.
a moment, like
Honestly, the day my child's mother
yeah,
came to me and figured out. Well, I'll tell you what happened. We'll go over it real quick.
Yeah.
Me and my ex had a kid. Shit was like not really good between us. We stopped sleeping together for several months, and I was working at some place, and I ended up having an affair.
How long have you been together?
At that time, we were together for like 6 or 7 years. And I started to have an affair. And simultaneously, at the time, I had some surgery a couple of years prior to that. And I picked up an addiction to painkillers. And I told her at the time that I wasn't going to be taking them anymore. But she found my stash. It was all legal,
Yeah.
they were prescribing this shit to me. But what I hadn't known is she was planning on leaving me anyway. So she had went and she had took all our money and got herself a new place and was already paid for the movers, was already out the door. Wasn't going to tell me. But then the girl that I was having an affair with wrote me an email that she intercepted, and she decided to confront me right there and then and let me know that she was leaving. And that evening, when she's like, I'm leaving you and we're moving out and this and that, and I remember laying in bed and going, all right, well, I guess I'll start doing stand-up comedy. I'm serious,
No, I know. It was like that or nothing.
Yeah, well, I had nothing anymore because she's taken my kid. She's taken this, family that I thought I was creating. So I was like, all right, this is a sign, this is...
Yeah. And how long after that did you go up?
Very quickly, within a month or two.
Messy divorce?
Very, very messy. We were never married, but we have a
Okay.
kid together.
No,
so
I understand.
it
My
doesn't-
childhood was like wrapped around a very messy divorce. So
Yeah.
like,
How was that for you growing up?
oh, not great. I don't think I've ever told this story on the podcast, and I know people won't like that I'm saying it, but like my mom told me that she was divorcing my dad before she told my dad, so I was the one who told him.
Wow.
Like over the phone, I called him up.
Did she want you to let
I think so, yeah. She told me, and she's like, your father's cheating on me, and we're getting a divorce. So I
Yeah.
call him, and I'm like,
Mom's leaving you.
your mom's leaving you? You're getting a divorce? He's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
How old were you?
13?
Oh, wow.
I was in 8th grade.
Wow.
Yeah, it was on spring break for that. But yeah, it was just like,
Would you have preferred if they did it while you were younger?
ooh, I never thought about that. No. I think it was a good age.
Yeah?
Because I was just able to like handle the concept of it,
Right.
but I wasn't like, I was still a kid, so it was kind of. How old were you? How old was your kid?
My-
when?
how old was my kid?
Yeah,
My kid
when-
was 3.
Okay, so he doesn't really
No,
know any other
yeah,
way.
his memories are us separated. And honestly, like in hindsight, definitely a good idea.
100%, because you don't want the kid to be like see unhappiness, and
Right,
shit.
of course. And
Yeah.
we were not happy together. And, you know, the truth is, like, for me personally, even though I was miserable in the relationship, I would have stayed. Because I grew up in a broken home. My parents split when I was a baby. Like, I wasn't even a year old when my parents split.
Yeah.
And to me, I was like, you know, my fucked up life and, like, all the wrong streets I went down was because I had a broken home. So I was like, I'll do whatever the fuck I have to do for this kid.
Yeah.
But again, in hindsight, if you know you have 2 toxic people who are at least toxic to each other around a kid, it would have
Nah, it's
fucked my
not
kid
good.
up.
Yeah, 100%. Is it hard to do comedy and like?
And like what?
Is it hard to balance that shit?
Comedy in life?
Yeah, like comedy, kid.
Yeah, of course, And I have a girlfriend now,
Yes.
and she's younger than me. You know, and that's an issue.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, listen.
Am I the?
You know,
No, I know.
like if I dated a woman my age, things would be a lot simpler.
No, I feel that.
Because we wouldn't be thinking about having a family of our own and making kids. But, you know, she's much younger than me and her life is starting and she wants kids. I want kids. I want more kids.
Yeah.
And I already have a kid, so she has to deal with that.
No, I feel that. That's why, like, man, I'm so scared right now to, like, get into anything. Because, like, I have so much other shit going on. It's like I can't, like, give
Right.
even, like, 25% of
Right.
what I should, you know?
Right. Well, it's definitely not enough room for a family, but you're dating, you have girlfriends, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, but like I'm also on the road all the time. Like
Right.
I'm always, and that's not like a good like lifestyle for that shit.
For the
I
girl.
feel like like I got that. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like I can kind of turn my brain off for a little bit and just focus on work.
Right. Well, you're like
Jerk
super
off in a
focused.
hotel room.
Yeah. Well, once you have that clarity, you're like, why did I need a girlfriend? to
No,
begin
well,
with?
it's like fuck. Someone I know I like a connection, but it's like I think it was fucking Rogan said it once where it's like once you find out that like hooking up is just your brain wanting to like
Yeah.
procreate.
Yeah, you told me that. I
yeah,
remember.
it's like like
That really fucked me up, by the way, telling me that. Because you know, you think about it. You know,
it's true though. It really is true.
the mechanics of your nature. You
Yeah.
know, you're like, what the fuck? It's like I just want to like put my organ inside of another organ. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, what the fuck's wrong with
And
me?
you were I don't mean to call you out, but you were a fat kid.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was like a bigger kid. And
Yeah, I
then,
saw your
like-
kid picture the other day. Very cute.
Yeah, and then like you have this like ego thing where it's like I just want to be like liked.
Of course. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think most people have that, don't they? I mean, I listen, when you grow
Some
up,
people really do like their bodies. Like some people really are like I look good,
right.
which
Well,
is a crazy
that is
thought
insane.
to me.
I grew up with a mother with body dysmorphia. My mother was beautiful. She was a beautiful woman. And I remember my entire childhood, her complaining about being fat and ugly and this and that. And my mother was a gorgeous woman. I mean, even for her old age, she's still pretty. You know? So then you raise a kid, you
And
know.
your dad was a player, right?
My father was a player. You know, my father was a successful guy. You know, and he was always with beautiful women. So he wouldn't have, you know, married my mother to begin with if she was a dog. Sorry, dogs.
Do you think were you just like genetically fat, or were you just like you didn't care when you were a kid?
No, no. My obesity came from a fucked up childhood, I think. I was a latchkey kid. So like, you know, my parents split when I was a kid. My father, you know, Israeli gangster businessman. I hardly ever saw him. My mother had to work because he didn't really take care of us.
Is he still alive?
No, he passed away 5 years ago.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. But, you know, she had to bear the brunt of the financial responsibility for us. So she was never around. So I was a latchkey kid, you know, like she would leave in the morning, 7:30 in the morning, come home at 7 o'clock at night. I could do whatever the fuck I want. And a large majority of the time, I wouldn't even go to school. You know, I'd hang out at home, eat food, and watch
Yeah.
TV.
So wait, so what did your dad do?
He was a strip club owner.
Did you know what he was doing when you were growing up?
Well, when I was a kid, he owned nightclubs. He switched to the strip club business when I was like 11 or 12 years old.
Are you a strip club fan?
I really despised them for a while, only because like growing up in it, you see the facade. I love a woman's attention, especially a beautiful woman. But when it's paid for, when it's manipulated, there's no satisfaction for me. Like, I want a female's attention, and I want to earn it. I want a genuine attention, not because she's trying to game me for lap dances.
No, I feel you. And you were growing up in it. You were like, how old were you when you first stepped foot in a strip club?
Well, so I live in Queens. My father turned the nightclub Pallets into the strip club Goldfingers when I'm like 11 or 12 years old. He had a chain of them. They used to be all over the Northeast. And I would visit him every now and then. I remember I brought my best friend. We walked down Queens Boulevard to my dad's thing. It's during the day, so he let us come inside. And we went downstairs. This is right after they switched it over. And, the strippers are walking around downstairs. Yeah. And my father's like, come here. And he gets two women. And she goes, give my son and his friend some hugs. Give them hugs. So he has these, and this is the 90s. So this is when the breasts were like the size of our midsection.
Like big fake ones?
Yeah, like disgusting. Like, which maybe that's why I'm so disgusting.
Where are all those women? Are they dead?
No, but their tits are. If you watch like stuff from like early 2000s, late 90s, they're all over the place.
I know, but where are those tits? Did they get them removed?
They took them out. They took them out.
And what do you do? It's just skin now? It looks like chicken skin?
I think they cut and paste, and then they staple the tit closer to the body. And some of them get them refilled with something less toxic to the body.
Because at that point, they were just filling it with whatever, right?
I think it was Jenny Jones who used to host a daytime talk show. She was like the advocate for it because she had breast implants, and the original like formula for breast implants had like a major carcinogen in it. And like women just started getting breast cancer nonstop from their fake titties.
Do you think getting a new hairline is the same as a girl getting like fake breasts?
Are you asking for yourself?
I'm asking for a friend. I'm just kidding.
I'm going through the same thing as you, man.
No, I know, but I'm also like, I'm 24 years old.
Yeah.
No, I actually don't really care about it, but I have been thinking about that. It's like, is that like, it's plastic surgery? It's like man plastic surgery.
Honestly, I would 100% do it. If I had the expendable capital to fix my hairline, I would add an inch or two.
I love that they have fucking like billboards on the highway for it with like deals like that. That's not gonna look good.
The science has gotten so far that it's pretty fucking simple for them to do it now.
Okay.
They take the hair from your taint because that is the strongest of all your follicles.
Do you have coarse fucking taint hair?
Yeah, man.
I just got a Manscaped for the first time. I sound like I'm sponsored by them, but
oh really? The one that doesn't nick your balls?
Yeah, exactly. It actually works.
I don't shave my nuts. I don't ever understand.
Ever?
That. I mean,
you got hairy ass balls?
Well, I have a webbed penis, so I shave.
I don't know what that means.
I shave my penis actually.
Oh, you have like the balls connect to the dick?
Yes.
I got that shit too.
Yeah, man. Team Spider-Man.
Oh, I was gonna.
That's right.
You got a web dick, Irish?
I still don't even understand what you're saying.
Like there's skin that attaches from the bottom of your dick to your balls.
You know,
I think
or
I'm
is your
rocking
dick
that,
and balls unattached?
you know how your penis is symmetrical? There's like a line that goes down your shaft, down your
skin.
So basically, your ball sack, it connects all the way to the top.
I've never even heard that before, but I have it.
And you didn't tell anybody. That was like your secret, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's a thing. I found that out for years. You know what the fucked up thing is?
You were on some podcast.
Well, no, I heard it when I was a younger dude. And, growing up with a father in the porn industry, you have a lot of exposure to genitals of adults. So, like, you start questioning, like, what the fuck's wrong with my junk? I was like, and then I started thinking, like, maybe I got a really small dick because my ball sack would start towards the top of it. But it's the whole penis is long and intact.
That's crazy. The growing up so you knew what your dad was like doing with porn and all that shit. He was bringing.
Yeah,
like,
well, he was
stars.
dating porn stars. Yeah, he was. I was constantly, even before the strip clubs. Like, I have some of my youngest memories. My father, in the 80s and the 90s, up until the early 90s, pre-Giuliani, Times Square was a cesspool
Yeah.
I do jokes about it on stage. I used to say it was covered in a layer of cum. It really was. It was disgusting. But like some of my youngest memories, my father had other like Israeli gangster friends who owned strip clubs back then. Now, strip clubs back then were completely different than now. They were just like jerk-off booths. So I have one of my youngest memories of my father taking me, I think I was on his shoulders, into a seedy strip club in Times Square.
That's funny as shit. I remember I was so scared the first time I fucking jerked off that I looked at the Playboy app. I'm young. I'm 24, so I looked at the app store on my iPod, the Playboy pictures. I didn't even want to download the app, and then I felt. How old were you when you lost your virginity?
I was, I think I was 13 or 14.
How old were you, Irish?
I think 15, 16.
All right, cool. 13's young.
Yeah. I how old were you?
16.
Okay. Who'd you lose it to?
She was older than me. Chick I met on Tinder.
Yeah.
Because at that age, at that age, you could just go on like Tinder and shit when you were 16.
Right.
And match with other 16-year-olds.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because
And
people would
then-
make fake accounts. They would lie about their, 'cause you
that
had
was
to be,
just that was like the first. That was like when
Really?
it first came out.
Okay.
And so like you could just match with other 16-year-olds, and then you just be fucking.
Right. Well.
Should I be? Is that statute of limitations up on that?
Well, you were 16 at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like 12, 13 years old, and I think the prostitute
I was fucking
was like 17.
prostitute.
Yeah. Yeah.
You pay for it, or your dad pay for it?
No, my father didn't pay for it. I went with some friends from the neighborhood. They started going to, Corona, Queens was known for like having the brothels and the prostitution back then. I think they still have it there. But yeah, I remember. And she was a teenager too. It was probably fucked up in more ways than one because I shouldn't have been there. Probably neither should she.
You know where she is now?
I have no idea.
That's wild. Nah, that's crazy.
What do you think about prostitution, Buck?
Like, do I think it should be legal?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think it should be.
I think the biggest problems we have, like with the incel members, is because we don't have legal prostitution.
Yeah, I knew a chick who was like a professional cuddler. Like she would literally be paid to
I've seen
travel
something on
around
this, yeah.
and like cuddle people, like, and not. It's kind of sad, but like severely autistic people,
Right,
or, like,
right.
people who,
Disabled
like,
people.
people who like no one touches,
Right.
like they just want to be held.
That's so sad.
I know
man.
that is sad. This is a sad episode.
Couldn't they just get a dog?
That's what I mean. Yeah, but no, that was her job, and she got paid pretty well for that.
I'm sure. Probably like $100 an hour.
Could you do that?
Could I cuddle people?
Yeah. Could you?
How? Give me the person's condition, and I'll tell you if I follow them.
No, you have to ask. You have to be like.
I would have them fill out a questionnaire, like, please rate your
on a scale from 1 to 10.
1 to 10. How badly do you smell?
That's a good one.
Right?
Yeah.
If they don't
Yeah.
smell bad and they don't have something contagious, I could give them a hug. I'm a hugging guy. I like giving love to people.
We were talking. We were talking earlier on the podcast. I mean, before the podcast, about. Were you saying? Were you going through that same thing where you're like, "What am I doing?" Before the podcast, like all the shit just took off, or were you still just chugging away? Like what's
Personally,
yeah. Like, what's your mentality with it?
no, I'm chugging away. I've been chugging away my whole life, So like, if I ever let like those feelings linger for too long, I mean they're there, they're present all the time. But the only time like I'm questioning my path or what I'm doing, I wouldn't have made it to where I am now.
Yeah.
And like, you just got to count your blessings. That's what you got to do.
No, I feel you.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Like, it's a good feeling when like
Good
it starts
things
to get.
happen.
Yeah, because you were saying you had 200 something other Sorry, I should probably explain
Right.
what's going on. Do you want to like? You have a
No, you
podcast, the Mac Almanac.
We have the Mac Almanac.
With,
Make sure
Kevin
you follow
Sanchez.
the Mac Almanac. We're top 10 performers in Indonesia right now.
That is crazy. But Kevin's been on the podcast, and you guys have been. But you guys had a podcast before that.
Yeah, we had the Low End Gigolos for.
Yeah, and then you've done 24 or so episodes, and then you had this dude on
Right.
who's huge in Indonesia.
He's like their biggest comedian. He's like the Dave Chappelle of Indonesia.
Okay.
And he.
How did you meet him?
He signed up for one of the mics that I host, and actually he signed up via my friend Patrick Walsh. Shout out Patrick Walsh. And Patrick hit me up and he's like, hey, this guy's coming. He didn't say anything like, oh, this is a big to-do. He just said, he's like, yo, this guy signed up. He told me he's coming through. So I was like, all right, no problem. So I, like anybody who comes, I greeted them and was nice to them. And he did the mic and he was great. And we invited him to the show.
Could you tell that it was like different when you saw him perform?
I could tell, well, I can... Most of the people who we have coming lately are pretty good, like seasoned comics doing it for at least a few years now.
Yeah.
I could tell right away the guy's professional. I could tell by the caliber of his, his presence on stage, his comfortability. Like this guy's the real deal.
Yeah.
So I knew that automatically.
What's his name? Sorry.
Panji. Pandji, and then a bunch of other letters and stuff.
Pragiwaksono.
Yeah. Pragiwaksono, I think.
Panji Pradiwak Soto.
Yeah.
Pragiwaksono.
Is that how you pronounce it?
P-R-A-G-I.
Panji, I'm sorry if we're saying this wrong.
P-R-A-G-I-W-O.
Sorry, I just wanted to know his name.
S-O-N-O.
Okay, so he...
Yeah. So he came, he did the show.
Very
and
humble, just doing a mic. That's crazy.
Well, he did the mic, and then he came, and he said his whole thing was he's a huge star there. Like most of the comics we know, has a real love for comedy. And, comedy's from the United States. Stand-up comedy was birthed over here. So he wants to go, where the stand-up, capital of the world is. So he came here, it's like to prove himself. But the guy is going to he's going to skyrocket. He's really talented. Most importantly, sweetest, nicest human being you'll ever meet.
Isn't that crazy, though, that it's not just, like, not easier for him, but, like, it is wild that, like, you can be huge in a place like Indonesia.
Right.
And then you're not, like...
Right. And then you come here and you're just amongst normal people.
Yeah, you're just murdering, like...
Yeah.
But he usually does it not in English, right? Comedy?
Yeah. Well, I mean, everything, most of his stuff, I'm sure he's doing in Indonesia, he's doing it in their language.
Yeah.
In their language. But he speaks perfect English. And he performed in English and a little bit in Indonesian when we did the live show. Well, we did the live show. He did it 2 Saturdays in a row. It was that snowstorm. He showed up and did a show that time, and like 15 people showed up for him. And then we did it again on Saturday, and like another 30 people showed up on Saturday. So like, he's a big deal.
I love people like that really like care and love it and just do it because they want.
Because they're
like,
heart, He's doing it with his heart. He's an awesome dude. Shout out to all my Indonesian people. What's up?
Are you gonna go to Indonesia now?
100%. I'm thinking of moving there.
You ever been to Asia?
No. Have you?
No. You ever been to Europe?
I've been to Europe.
I dated 2 girls that moved to Europe while dating me.
Because of you?
Yeah, I just don't think about it. I know.
Where in Europe did they move to?
One moved to Barcelona to work for the government,
right.
and one moved to Scotland to work for the government.
Yeah, the one who went to Barcelona, she went there for the dick, and the one who went to Scotland
also
went there because men are wearing skirts over there. I mean, I was in Croatia. My ex-father had a beautiful house in Croatia.
I've always wanted to go to Croatia. I have friends there.
It was gorgeous. It was the funniest thing is because she was trying to get me to go there with her for a few years. But all I envisioned was like goat herders for some reason. I figured it was like country homes. And it's not that far off, but it's so beautiful, man. The sea is beautiful.
And it's cheap too, right?
Yeah, it's free if you have a father-in-law who pays for everything.
That's crazy. Would you ever... So you have been to Croatia, that's it.
Been there multiple times, yeah.
Have you done comedy like outside of... You started in New York doing comedy?
Correct, yeah.
You think that was good?
Starting in New York City?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
I don't know.
Why? Would you rather be some fucking schmuck from Ohio?
No. You think it's good? Like, I want to... I'm like thinking about where to move, and I want to come to New York, but like... It's so funny, like...
Why, you feel like it's hacky? It's
no,
cliche?
I don't think
so
it's
then
hacky
what do
at
you
all.
think?
No, I just want to know like what the scene's like.
I think, listen, honestly, Sam, it doesn't matter where you go. You just got to go to a city where it's big and that it's happening in. So what's happening here. What's happening in Texas. You can go to California. But this is New York City. Now, listen, it's hard to be an advocate for New York City these days.
Nah, I feel you.
It's hard to say, it's the best place in the world, because it's kind of not anymore. It's not that awesome.
You grew up here.
Yeah.
What do you think changed about it?
The totalitarian government oppressing you.
When do you think it changed?
When Giuliani came into town and took over. He's the one who destroyed my father's business. So just a little bit of
personal
angst there. No, well, you know what he cleaned the city up. The city used to be rough and tumble.
Yeah.
It used to be porn shops and head shops. Huh?
And my dad was at the head of that.
No, but he was an integral part of the system, So, but when Giuliani came into power, he wrote a new law that, first of all, you couldn't have strip clubs within a certain distance of any schools. So, and if you had a strip club, they made it so that I think it was something like 60-40. 60% of the club had to be, could be a strip club, but 40% had to be dedicated to something else. So he had to turn, at the time, the top floor of his strip club into a pool hall or some shit like that. Yeah.
That's weird.
That's why you see places have like steakhouses and shit connected to them. That's from where that started, because they had to have that.
That is weird.
Yeah.
Do you look back at like what your dad does, like with like, that's cool, or you're like, that's kind of fucked up?
No, my dad's history is fucking amazing. Very interesting. For me, it's sad because I didn't get to know him, but like I find out things about my father from people who knew my father.
What was his like?
My dad?
Yeah. What was his like? My story.
My father was he was training to be an Israeli Navy SEAL. So they call them commandos over there. So he did a deep diving exercise, and I don't know if you know what the bends is. The bends is when you go deep into water where it's pressurized, and they pull you up too fast, and the gas inside your blood expands, and it can fuck up all your nerves, and it did. He had a really bad case of the bends, like injured him really badly, and they gave him an honorable discharge, and he came to the United States. And he ended up working for like Wise Guys. My father was a very big, imposing, trained how to fight man, and they used him as like muscle and shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my dad. That was his start in the United States.
When did you? So you didn't know any of that until like afterwards?
No, my mother would like, every now and then like spit some like random awful thing about my father to me. Like, my mother was moving out of my apartment when I was like 15 or 16. She was moving into my stepfather's apartment, and she was taking like her artwork and her shit with her. And we had this like big macrame, which is like a sewn painting in the living room, and not a very good looking piece of art. And she was like, "Oh, do you want this thing?" And I was like, "Not really." She's like, "All right, so throw it away." And I was like, "I can't throw it away." I was like, "That's Bubby's. I thought my grandmother made it because she would make things like that."
Yeah.
And she goes, "Oh, that your grandmother didn't make that. That was one of your father's transvestite prostitutes." So apparently my father used to pimp transvestites, well, amongst other prostitutes.
Did he teach you like game?
No, he didn't teach me anything. He did teach me a sense of humor. I spent time with him when I was a kid, but the time I spent with him waned as I got older, and the majority of the time I spent was probably when I was like 4, 5, 6, 7.
Why did you?
Because he ended up married. Well, he was with the business and he was traveling around the United States. And then when I was around 12 or 13 years old, he married a penthouse pet. I have a half sister. I'm sorry to describe her like that. She was at the time beautiful, beautiful woman. She's very successful now in a completely different field.
Yeah.
But he married her and he moved down south with her. And I didn't really ever see him after that.
That happened with my grandfather. Like, growing up, I was kind of told, like, I was the only grandchild, and, like, my mom was, like, an only child. But he had, like, a whole family in Baltimore with, like, 2 kids and a granddaughter that he, like, left.
It was his side family.
They were the first family, and he just left them. And then, like,
you ever hear Kevin's bit about that?
No.
Kevin, because he does a bit about the guy who killed his wife and kids and everything. And then Kevin talks about how brave his mother is because it takes so much bravery just to walk away from your family.
Oh, I actually do.
you know that bit?
Yeah.
It's very appropriate.
But he just like had that whole other family and he was such like a quiet man. Like it's so weird. Like I'm scared about growing up and like changing because it's weird how some people like.
You think they change?
Yeah, he was such a quiet man who didn't stand up for himself and just kind of like sat in his chair and read and liked to drink wine.
But he's the one who left.
Yeah.
So then he did stand up for himself.
That's what I mean. Like that's a whole that I don't even like
know
see
that person.
Yeah, and like whenever his friends like when he passed, they'd be like he was the life of the party.
Oh, really?
And then he was so quiet. Like he didn't say much.
Was it that maybe you guys didn't see that side of him? Like you didn't
I think
know
he was like probably just scared.
Of what?
My grandmother.
The new one.
Yeah.
Oh, so she just like came and stole grandpa from another family.
Maybe. I don't even know. That's what I mean. It's like I don't know what I'm gonna find out.
She fucking saw. Back in the day, women could do that. She just saw him one day. She's like, "You're coming with me. You're living with me now." How old was he when that new family came about?
I think he was older.
Yeah,
like probably mid-30s.
That's not that old.
Do you think your kid will like integrate well into a new family?
I don't know. It's difficult for him, man. That's the whole thing. Like, it's really, really hard. Because my intention is that I'm gonna marry this girl and I'm gonna have kids with her. You know, and he's gonna have to deal with that. But he's 9. You know, so he's growing up. He'll be all right. He's a really good, sweet, smart kid. I love you, Alex.
I hope he's not listening to this podcast.
Oh, he's listening. He's under the table right now.
Wait, what?
It was my day to watch him. Sorry, buddy.
I'm just blowing this weed smoke under the table. Do you worry, like, people in your family, do you worry about them seeing, like...
Stuff?
Yeah, like your kid or your, like, kid's mom... Seeing like podcasts that you do.
I stand by everything I do. I never put my kid in danger. I don't do drugs near my kid. Like
no, 100%. I'm not. But like when I started this podcast, I was so scared to like put myself out there, like to be like, oh, that random person from my life could just watch me say or do some crazy stuff. So I feel like when you have more of a life behind you, that could be even more of a problem.
Again. I started doing podcasting around the same time I got into stand-up comedy. And at the time, my whole character was destroyed. You know, like my name was dragged through the street, made out to be a monster. So I was like, everyone already has the lowest opinion of me. Like, what do I care?
Yeah.
You know, like there's nothing else. You know, what do I care what the general public thinks? I don't say things that I don't stand by.
No, I feel it.
This is the part where in the future they've been play a clip of me saying awful things.
No, but I feel like you can apologize for things that you've said.
100%.
Like
100%.
Feel bad about that shit.
100%. The only people I probably owe an apology to are fat people.
Oh.
And I'm only mean about fat people because I was a fat person.
I feel the same way. It's like... And I also grew up around like large people.
Yeah.
Like, and I was large. And I had like
I was the largest. And honestly,
what was your biggest?
480 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Salute.
Thank you, man.
For real.
Thank you, bro. No gastric, bro. All natural.
What'd you do?
Cocaine and prostitutes.
Yeah?
No, just working out, man. Closing my fucking fat mouth.
Nah, but like for 480 to where you are now.
To 200 pounds.
Is like, that's very impressive. Like, what were the first steps? Like, what made you like change?
There was a girl that I was attracted to, and she had a friend who was a personal trainer. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go. Because she's recommending me to go to her trainers. I was like, maybe if I lose a little weight, this girl will like me. So I started seeing a personal trainer. And then you start working out. And, you know, I'm not a retarded kid, pardon my language. I'm not stupid, you know? And the fucked up thing is when I was fat, people used to tell me all the time, like, you're a real smart kid. Can't you figure this out? Like, can't you figure out how to lose weight? And that shit, like, really hurts you when someone says that to you. You're like, because then you're like, maybe I am a fucking idiot, you know? But then when you start going and exercising, then you're like, wait, maybe I shouldn't be shoveling 5,000 calories into my mouth every day, because then it doesn't make any fucking sense. So you start changing your diet. But I remember when I first started working out, you know, I'm still like 400 poundish at the time because I had already lost a little bit of weight. But I remember after my first big workout at the gym, they had a juice bar. And I ordered something called the Elvis Presley, which in hindsight, I think it had like 1,200 calories in it. You know, it was like 3 bananas and fucking this and peanut butter. And I was like, no, working out's easy, man.
This is healthy.
I get a milkshake when I'm done.
Do you still get cravings? Like fat boy cravings?
I let myself eat when I want to. You know, I just the one thing that I consistently do is I intermittent fast every day. So I stop eating at about midnight, and then I won't eat again until at least like 3 or 4 o'clock. So that gives your body like a long period of time to burn everything that was inside of you, and that really helps your metabolism out.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, 100%. That was a big part of me losing weight, was the intermittent fasting.
Wow. Were you consistent with it? Like,
Yeah. Well, the thing is, very important for losing weight, sleep. You know, and if you have the luxury, and I've built my life so that I can get enough sleep because it's very important to me. I'm not one of those people who could sleep for 4 hours.
I'm not either. I need 8, 9 hours.
I need 8, 9 hours. I mean, maybe I could do 1 or 2 days in the week where I get 4 or 5, but like more than that, and it'll be to my detriment.
Yeah.
So, first of all, when you're asleep, you're not eating. You know, so you try to sleep as much as you can. Don't eat first thing in the morning. You know, a lot of people have different opinions on that. I'm saying what worked for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I've seen the science behind it, and it seems to work. And then you only have a certain amount of time where you can eat, and you never, you know, like, I'm not going to gorge. I don't have those same type, you know, like when I was morbidly obese where I would just sit and pile food into my mouth.
What was your like McDonald's order? Because my fat boy McDonald's order was bad.
If we traveled like to a dimension, because like I still, even when, you know what I used to do when I was fat? I used to go to like a store and order like twice the amount of food that a normal person would order, but I would pretend I was on the cell phone. I'd be like, oh, what's that? Oh, you want a roast beef hero?
I've done that too.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll tell him. I'm serious. Extra mayo, he said on that. And,
yeah. I'd be like, oh, you want it? I would get 2 medium
Right.
buffalo chicken pizzas.
Yeah, that's how
from
shameful.
Domino's, and I'd be like,
talking to no one.
oh wait, oh you want to? Oh, I okay, make it 2. I'll
Yeah.
get another one.
Shameful.
Yeah,
Shameful. But
that
yeah,
shit's crazy.
yeah, no, but it. And
Because I've done it too. Like I know what you're talking about.
when I was a big fat, I'm still to this day, I don't like eating in public.
Do you see yourself as fat still?
No, of course not.
Okay.
Right now, I'm not in the best shape that I was. I was in like a couple of years ago. I was like working out gung ho, lifting weights, and like listen, my body, because of how fat I was, I have like skin, you know, like extra skin, but like.
Oh, do you?
Oh, for sure. Well, dude, I was the size of this table.
I know. You don't like.
No, but because
You don't hold yourself like that.
most of it is pretty much gone, but like about around my stomach, I could use a tummy tuck like badly, you know? And then I would lose another 10, 20 pounds from cutting that off. But I forgot, what the fuck was the point of what I was saying?
What was the point?
I was just not paying attention. Anyway, no. So when I was fat, eating in public was not something I wanted. As if people didn't know I ate a lot of food, but like I used to like to do it in like shame. Like order food or
In a dark room.
bring food home and sit in a room and get stoned and just like gorge.
Yeah.
You know? But that, you know, again, all of that stems from, you know, poor childhood and not knowing where to direct, you know, your frustration and looking for comfort.
What happened to that girl?
Which one?
The one that you started losing weight for.
Oh, she ended up. Well, what happened was, I was dating a heavy girl at the time, and I kept losing weight, and I was losing it like faster and faster, and she kept going, "You're gonna lose weight and leave me," and I was like, "You're right. You need to go lose weight." I don't want to be a fat fuck the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And she was like, I don't want to, you know. And I was like, listen, I'm telling you right now, like, it's not going to work for me if, like, you're going to be morbidly obese. And, like, because, like, that was the whole thing. Like, our relationship was us going out and pigging out and, like, just going places. And this girl loved me. She took me on, like, vacations and, like, fucking spoiled me. And I love her, you know. She was a great person. But, like, at the time, I was, you know, in my early 20s, I was like, I don't want to spend the rest of my life trapped in a fat cage. And I told her that. And I ended up leaving her because she refused to lose weight. And then I started dating this other girl who got me hooked on pills.
She's like, this will help you lose weight even faster.
Yeah. Well, that was the craziest thing because I was dating this girl. And she was also a lovely girl, but she had her issues, man. And I ended up moving in with her. She was living with her mother and her best friend and her sister. And all four of them were prior morbidly obese and had gastric bypass surgery. So it was like living in an insane asylum, dude. And I was like, I'm not getting gastric. I'm going to fucking do this like a normal human being. And I ended up, you know, losing, you know, weight steady every year. It took me a few years to get all the weight off. I didn't do it right away. It took like 3-4 years maybe in total. Split up with that girl because she went off the deep end with drugs. And then my ex, the one that I left while I was gone, she lost a bunch of weight because I think someone gave her a prescription for Adderall. So she stopped eating completely. She looked amazing. She was a beautiful girl, but like thin, she was gorgeous. And then we dated again. And then she started gaining weight and we split up. And I ended up with my kid's mother.
I feel like I really did get your life story.
It's pretty. You got like 35%.
35%.
Well, you missed the part where I was recruited to work for Wall Street when I was 16 years old.
What happened with what time are we at? We got like 15 minutes left.
You want to know about that?
Yeah, I do want to know about that.
So when I was 6, I stopped going to school. You know, like when I was like 13, 14, like I cut all the fucking time. I just hated school. I hated the teachers. I hated the interaction, bullies and shit. Like it wasn't a place that I felt comfortable. So I stopped going, and I got to high school, and I basically skipped the entire first year. And the second year, they took me in the office, and they were like, "Hey, you were missing 170 days last year, and you're missing 40 this year. You're gonna have to repeat the grade." And as a kid, I had a reoccurring nightmare of getting left back. It was my biggest fear. It was just something about.
But you still were skipping school.
I was still skipping school. I just assumed I would get progressed anyway. And I was like, fuck. I was like, I can't. I was like, how do I come to my mother and tell her I'm getting left back a grade? To me, it was end of the fucking world. And in hindsight, what a fucking idiot. I should have stayed and finished school. So I had another friend, same situation. He comes to me one day. He's like, "Hey, Fatso." He's like, "I found a way for us to get out of high school without dropping out." He goes, "There's a program that goes on over the summer. It's a GED high school equivalency program. So it's not a GED. It's called a high school equivalency. You take a 6-week course, and then they give you a test like a GED. And if you pass it, you get your high school diploma."
Okay.
So he's like, "You don't have to tell your mom. You just fucking show up." I end up going to this thing. He doesn't. Okay. So I show up the first day. I get there, and they give us like a fucking whatever it's called when you first get there. You know, and like the teacher talks to us, and like the class is filled with like 19-year-olds. You know, and I'm like 15, 16 years old, and I'm like, this is fucking retarded, right? So I was like. And they start teaching us, and I'm like, this is shit I learned in 3rd grade. I was like, we're talking about like isosceles and fucking, obtuse. I was like, what? So I was like, this is retarded. I'll just come and take the test. So I don't go to the rest of the classes, and I show up on week like 5.5. And I get there, and the lady who was in charge, who was like the vice principal. Yeah. Very, very nice, like black lady, you know? And she was just so sweet to me. And she's like, "Why weren't you here, child? Blah, blah, blah." She's like, "We're having the test. The test is done on Monday." And I was like, my grandfather died and I had to help my grandmother. And she felt so bad for me, and she was like, it's okay, child, don't worry. She's like, we'll try to refresh you as much as we can, like, 5 weeks worth of information, So I finished the day, and this was a Wednesday. I come back on Monday because she said the test's on Monday. I show up on Monday. She goes, child, where have you been? Where were you Thursday and Friday? I go, my grandfather. She's like, you told me that already. She's like, the test started on Friday. It's a 6-hour test. You had 3 hours on Friday and 3 hours on Monday to finish it. She's like, we only have today left. We don't have any more days. I was like, please let me try taking the whole test now. She's like, you're gonna do the whole test in 3 hours? It's like, please just let me try. So I go in the room and I'm looking at people and there's sweat dripping down their face. They're like doing like calculators in the sky, And again, I'm not the smartest dude in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, but I sit there and I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? They're like, which one's a triangle? And I'm like, oh, that's a triangle, So I did the whole test in like an hour and a half. And I hand her the test and they're like, and they're getting angry around me. And the thing is, like, you can't cheat because they stagger the tests. Like the person in front of you, behind you, on the left and the right has a different test. So there's no way you could see it. And they're getting pissed at me. I'm like, I better get out of here. I'm going to get beat up. And I give him the thing. And back then, the way you'd find out if you passed or failed, they had a number for you to call. It was a 917 number. And you call the number, and it would just be like, ding, ding, ding. Hello, you have failed. You have passed. So I called it up. You passed. Please, you have to show up to the school to pick up your diploma. So it was like 2 weeks, 3 weeks later. So I show up to the school 2-3 weeks later. And I get there, and all the teachers from the school are there. It was the Jamaica Learning Center, if anyone's interested. And I get there, and all the teachers line up. It was like, those staircases to get into a building, line up along the sides and start clapping for me. So I think automatically, I was like, they're being sarcastic assholes. Like they're being fucking pricks. And Miss Paula, the lady, comes up to me, the nice black lady. She goes, child, congratulations. And I was like, wow, because I passed, and I didn't show up. And I was like, thank you. I was like, thank you for letting me take it. I was like, it really meant a lot to me. And my grandfather, may he rest in peace. And she goes, no, I have news, child. You're valedictorian. I was valedictorian of my GED.
Jamaica Learning Center.
She goes, you won a 2-year scholarship to St. Mary's College. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to go. And I had already at the time agreed to go start this job working in a stockbroking office off of not in Wall Street, but in the financial district area. And I started that job that September. Instead of going into my third year of high school, I went into Wall Street.
Wait, so you can just graduate high school at 16 if you want?
Yeah, you can.
That's crazy.
Look at all those years you wasted.
I know. At college, all of that shit.
Yeah, man.
That's wild.
Yeah, so then...
That wasn't even how you got into the stock program at 16.
Yeah, no.
Am I wrong? He's like, I want to tell the story about how I got into the stock
that's how I left high school. And then
How did they recruit you? That was the whole point of
we had a
story.
We had the local neighborhood plug who was a friend of ours.
He just wanted to do the black accent. He's like, I don't care about the story. I just want to do this voice.
The guy who gave me my first bump of cocaine ever was also the man who recruited me to work on Wall Street when I was 16 years old.
That sounds like it makes sense.
Yeah.
How old were you when you did your first bump of cocaine?
I think we were like 14 or 15.
Oh, how'd you get like...
No, the coke came before Wall Street. Yeah.
Were you good at Wall Street?
Yeah, it was really good. My first day on Wall Street, I opened up 3 accounts.
Were you good at cocaine?
I'm the best at cocaine. I finished.
But you were fat all those years?
I did so much cocaine, I finished it.
You were fat all those years with coke?
Bro, I was a 480-pound man sniffing an 8-ball of cocaine, drinking a bottle of gin.
Yeah, dude, Artie Lang, Joey Diaz, they were both fat coke addicts.
I guess that's true.
It gives you strength.
But you're like... You came out of it pretty well.
I came out on the other end of it by God.
Did you
by
think you were
God.
going to?
No. My plan when I was that size, but this is before I took my life into my own hands. My expectation, I was dead by the time I was 30. That's what I had thought and had expected. I did not think I was going to make it past 30 years old. Not when you're fucking the size of a tank, and like you was growing perpetually every single year.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, my expectation was death.
Wow.
So every day after that is a blessing. Thank you, God. It's all from God, and that's without making a joke. God
I agree.
pulled me through so many fires in my life. The obesity is just one of them, probably the biggest. But like without God, the miracles that have happened in my life from God are just
Why do people laugh at you when you say that shit?
because they think you're like a religious nut.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I have to like be quiet about it because I feel like I'm like a crazy person. Like,
I refuse to be quiet about it. I'm gonna shout my praise for God every single day. I love God, and He loves me. Thank you, God.
man, this was dope.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you. This was awesome.
Thanks,
I'm really happy, and
Thank
I'm
you,
really
Sam,
happy
bro.
for like you, and that like I'm happy. All this shit like that.
Thank you, Sam.
Every
We love
day is
you,
a
man.
blessing.
We love the
That's
Bucked
awesome.
Up podcast, man. We can't.
I love the Mac Almanac.
Yeah, make sure you like and subscribe, guys.
Yeah, you guys are close to being able to monetize, which salute.
Thank
you guys
you, bro.
deserve it. Like
Thank
you've been
you, man.
working hard for a long ass time.
Again, from God, man. Thank you, bro.
And that's cool. I hope Kevin doesn't mind me saying the shit about like what he was like. Shit does happen the day after you think you're gonna give up.
100%. And the crazy thing is, something really fucked up happened right prior to this happening. Someone did something really disgusting. I don't want to go into the details
Yeah,
of
of
it because it was really so upsetting. But someone from my past tried to like sabotage my life and like try to like make me look like a piece of shit and like try to hurt me and hurt my character. And I remember I was really hurt and upset and like thinking of different ways, like how am I going to get back at this person and how am I going to, put myself back on top in this situation. And I said to myself, because I've had it happen before, when shit like this happens, when like something really foul, when unjustifiably someone tries to hurt you or does something really bad happens to you, the miracle from God is literally like right there happening, like right there.
Yeah, you just have to make it through.
Yeah, you just got to make
The
it
little
through.
tank mentality. That's what I call it. You have to be a little tank
You have to be the little tank
and just
man.
keep going no matter what shit's thrown in front of you.
Lead with love. That's it.
Man, thank you for this.
you,
Everyone,
Sam.
check out the Mac Almanac. Follow you at Joshua Palad.
PALED. Yeah.
Dope.
Thank you, Sam.
Peace out, everyone. Irish, you want to plug anything other than your own butthole?
Check out my butthole, guys. At It's Irish O'Neill on all social media and Too Much Content Live.
Peace.